This chapter just goes to illustrate Luffy's, I like to call it simple genius that he has. Very, very cool, and definitely one of my favorites.
281st chapter of One Piece. This is Deathpiea. It is... And
Holy Lord, boys, it's getting good! Oh. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you, using the mantra, yet another review on the awesome, the electrifying, the terrifying, the intricately woven story of One Piece. Our last chapter focused solely on Luffy fighting Enel, and although it looked like initially he might have a good chance against him, he really only landed a couple of hits, and Enel wound up actually having the arc Maxim kind of go and take off and start to head towards wherever its final destination is, and we can only assume whatever he's doing to Sky, whatever plan he's going to enact to crash Skypiea down into the Blue Sea is kind of starting or going to come to fruition very soon, at least in his mind. So that's where the chapter left off, and that's right where the chapter picks up over here. We do see some brief interactions amongst the people on Angel Island, as well as the hidden village in the clouds with the Shandians. And just kind of them, as he's going and starting to enact everything and pull everything together, they notice that the sky is darkening above them, and that's usually something that doesn't happen because they're up in the clouds, so obviously usually I'm sure it's pretty much a bright and sunny day every day over there because they're kind of above some of the cumulus and rain clouds and things like that. That's what I assume anyway at the height that they're at. But again, I don't know. It's not my fictional world. I didn't write everything for it. I just like to read it and talk about it. So, but we do see some of that, and it's as Enel is going and, of course, starting to enact his final act, and he actually calls it Deathpiea. And he goes and he explains that what that is that there is a above the white sea, right, there's an even thicker cloud, right, this lightning cloud, and he's going to go and he's going to charge the shit out of that thing so it goes and starts expelling lightning clouds all over the place above Skypiea, and then he's going to go and he's going to use his power to go and on command just have them all start to come down with bolts of electricity at once to pretty much just fry and take out everything and everyone that is around there. So just imagine like a crazy lightning storm, but not just concentrated in one area, like the whole country is going to be just crazy lightning bolts coming down, So definitely kind of neat to see his sick mind at work. And really, I don't even know if it's so much of a sick mind as it is a mind that has escaped the trappings of normal human thinking. If you think that you're unbeatable, that you're unkillable, that you're invincible, right? Although I don't agree with some of his thoughts, you start to maybe think that you are this omnipotent being, this being that cannot be defeated, so therefore why should you live with the same rules and laws of mankind? You are, of course, unique and better than them, and that's kind of where his thought process, I think, comes from. That's what I see him. I see he's more of like, he's like kind of like the mind of like a really smart psychopath, you know what I mean, like a serial killer, as opposed to someone who's just blind with power and wants to be the big bad guy like a Wapol or something like that, So Wapol was pretty much a joke, maybe not a great example, but you get what I'm saying. Arlong, you can really come up with a lot of different ones that they thought they were very strong because they were the biggest fish in that particular pond, but until somebody bigger and badder came along to take them out. So Enel, though, I think is very, very close to, if not at the top of the food chain. So that's just the word on the street. Don't shoot the messenger. So as he goes and explains how he's going to enact this whole plan and everything like that, and he's basically just like toying with the people right now. And Luffy's like, you can't do that. You can't just, what the hell is your deal? And he's like, of course I can, and that's where he goes into his thing about, I am God. I can do what I want. I can erase life from the planet, whatever I feel like doing, right? So Luffy ain't having that, right? So Luffy's going to go, and then of course he says, well, I got to do away with you though now, and Luffy goes to jack him up and nail him, and of course he uses his mantra and he's dodges it, and then he goes and he pulls out his spear that he has, right, that he's turned into kind of like a sword spear on the end, and it's like, and he makes it hot obviously with the lightning, and then he's coming at Luffy to go nail him. Luffy's like, whoa, hot, he burns his hand and everything, So Luffy goes and he thinks about it. He's like, man, with that power of him being able to predict my moves, that mantra getting inside my head, what can I do? And I talked about this in the last chapter, what could you do? Could you just do something else, like think left and hit right or something like that? And Luffy kind of does something similar to that. All of a sudden he goes, Gum Gum, space out. And his eyes just kind of roll up into his head, and he just sort of looks like he's had a few too many beers at the party, you know, and he's just got a little heat stroke going on at the 4th of July barbecue or something. And he just, and as Enel's trying to nail him, Luffy's like, whoosh, 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 like Matrix style, dodging his ass, right? And it's cool because Nami's like, oh, wow, his instincts are allowing him to dodge, but since he's not actually consciously thinking about it, he can't predict, you know, obviously, Enel can't predict what he's actually going to do. So then Luffy goes and he's like, yeah, this is all great and everything like that, but I can't use any offensive attack moves, right? So I can basically defend and dodge all day and sit here and do this dance with him, but I can't hit him back, right? So it's really kind of a cool dynamic to see that. It's like, well, I can do one, but not the other, and we're going to need to knock this dude out, you know, to get anything done here. So then all of a sudden he goes and he comes out of that and he goes, Gum Gum Octopus, as he goes over to a part of the ship, you know, kind of like, it's right about where Enel's throne area was and what have you. And he starts doing this Gum Gum Octopus where it's like, looks like his hands and legs are just flailing out everywhere, kind of like a Gatling gun on crack, you know, it's just all over the place. And there's shit bouncing, and then so Enel's like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to damage the ship? You know, resistance is futile type of thing, right? And he goes to come at him, and he winds up just getting pummeled with a bunch of Luffy's, you know, punches and kicks, right? And then Nami goes, because Nami's kind of narrating all for us that are a little bit slower and that are a step behind it. She's like, oh, that's right. He can't judge the deflections. Luffy's just punching the shit out of the side of the ship, right? Punching and kicking it. And anything that deflects and bounces, he can't anticipate where that's going to come from. There's no mathematical projection for that. Well, there probably is, but you know what I mean? There's no way to be able to predict exactly where it's going to come from. So he's able to go and you know, and nail him. I mean, just wind up hitting him a bunch of times, which I thought was cool, you know? So it was a very neat way of being able to come at Enel and take him, you know, not take him out, but at least hurt him and damage him. Then after that, there's a series of pages where Luffy starts to go and pull out some of these various moves, which I think are very cool the way they're done. And here's the actual, here's the actual octopus move that he does on him, which is pretty cool, I thought. So I'm pretty sure that's the octopus. Yeah, that's where he comes at him. Yeah, octopus fireworks, I think he calls it. And he just goes crazy with that, you know. And then Luffy goes and he starts nailing him, you know. And the thing about it is that I don't get, because then he does a bazooka on him. There's a couple other ones that he winds up pulling out too. Anyway, it's like, I don't know if it's like he knows it's coming and he just can't avoid it or what, because now he's been weakened, or if maybe it's like in his mind, it's like that kind of broke his concentration, because it was like for the mantra, obviously, because it's like, well, wait, now this kid actually hit me. Maybe taking some damage kind of throws it off, and it limits your ability to be able to concentrate. I'm not exactly sure. I just know that Luffy does. He hits him with the bazooka. He winds up going and charging up, and then you go and you see the kind of inner monologue, though, from Enel, and he's just like, oh, it's coming. I must avoid it, right? And Luffy's getting ready for the Gum Gum rifle, you know? And he's just jacks him up with this thing. And that's how the chapter ends off. So I don't know if Enel is done, if he's knocked out, how damaged he is, or what. But I really thought that it was an exciting and genius way to go about the chapter, and just in general how everything worked out with the fight itself. And I'm thinking it's not over yet. It still couldn't be that easy, but at the same time, you know, you want to be like, yeah, and start cheering for Luffy, because seriously, for such a tunnel vision, singularly focused type of person, I thought it was pretty cool how he went and he came up with that. You know what I mean? The space out thing didn't work too much to his advantage, except for dodging the moves, dodging the attacks from Enel, but then being able to go and do the deflection thing to nail Enel a bunch of times, and then be able to catch him while he's off guard and his mantra's down, or whatever you want to say, it's not being used properly at that point, and to be able to go and jack him up with a couple of hard moves, I thought was pretty cool, you know? Very, very cool stuff. So anyway, my chapter question is then, what are your thoughts on Luffy and his, obviously, his different attempts with the Gum Gum space out, and then of course with the octopus, you know, fireworks thing that he did, you know, and obviously counting on those deflected blows to draw Enel in, thinking that, you know, Enel thought he was damaging the ship, and then of course when he got close to him, just getting nailed by all those, the fists and feet that were bouncing off of everything. So, what are your thoughts on Luffy's plan of attack? I guess is the clear, concise way of saying that. So, at least in this chapter, leave your answer in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and, subscribe if you haven't done so already. We'll look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation. I can't do the whistle today. Sorry. Mouth is too dry from talking. We'll see you in the next one, folks. If you'd like to see more pictures of our hapless hero, go on over to my Facebook and Instagram page.